I'm standing here with Sean Bradley from Exotics by Nature, who I was told I must come here and speak to. You got a great reptile podcast called
Bullshit podcast. That's it.
I love it.
All about the ball python industry and all the bullshit that goes on in it. But it's not just ball pythons. We cover a lot of different subjects from a lot of different breeders. But the bulk of what I do on the Bullshit podcast is trying to train fellow breeders on good business practices, not just business ethics, but how to do things, how to make themselves more professional, right, how to make this more serious so that we can have more of a marketplace, not so much something so unreliable. You know, a lot of people talk about how shifty the market can be and everything like that, but all we need is a little stability by teaching people what they need to know about fixed expenses, better shipping practices, whatever. We go on and on and on.
I asked you what you're into, and you said the only thing you're into is what?
I'm into ball pythons. I'm into reptiles in general. But I said I'm in a wheelchair.
You told me a couple other things you're into.
Yeah, I'm into ball pythons. I smoke pot because I'm a fucking paraplegic and I got to do what I got to do. And I podcast about what I do. And that's really it. That is really all I do. I work about 25 hours a week at my facility. Have 2 full-time employees. I have about 4,000 animals.
4,000?
It's about 3,000 square feet. Ball python-wise, we probably have about 700 adults or so, but I also have a lot of boas, other pythons, colubrid snakes, geckos, frogs, all kind of stuff. We have all kinds of shit.
You recently, this is within the last 3 years, you wound up in this wheelchair. Tell us what happened.
Yeah, well, I'm a paraplegic, so I'm paralyzed here from the chest down from T8. 3 years ago, about July 4th of 2012, I was on the back deck of my apartment, which is about 12 feet up. And I didn't have a railing completed. The deck was still under construction. And I took a backwards fall, at which point I hit a hard-edged piece of concrete on the ground that was built to be chain wall for some animal cages, for lizard cages. My wife does iguanas, so
wow.
Big. We have a whole iguana facility outside in the yard as well. That's her.
Where do you live?
Thing. Louisiana, gotcha. Just north of New Orleans, about an hour. So yeah, I took this injury then, broke T8, completely severed my spinal cord, and I was in the hospital for a couple months and got back to my reptile business, and I think I went to my first show in the summer of 2013, and I've been running hard at it ever since.
That's awesome. Talk to me about the puzzle project, because I'm always interested in new ball python projects, and that's kind of like your baby. Explain to me what it is. Take one out first. Let's show everyone what it is.
Show me this original adult up here, Joe. Thanks. Well, your show's on YouTube, so I'll say this to the YouTube visitors. And users. If you go on YouTube and you search puzzle ball python, you'll come up with a video. It's actually not even a video. It's an audio clip that I put on YouTube where I recorded it with my podcasting equipment, where I explain, in about 15 to 20 minutes, I explain the entire history of this project from the start of it in 2008 until its point of last year when I made the recording in early, I think, 2014.
Give me the Reader's Digest version.
I will give you the Reader's Digest. Basically, in the early 2000s, I bought a Super Pastel from Greg Graziani. Paid big dollars, $14,000 or so for a Super Pastel male.
Back then, that was
right. So now we were selling pastels for $3,000 a pair.
Oh my God.
So a Super Pastel breeding normals, giving you 8 to 10 eggs in a clutch and all that stuff. You were making really good money, so we thought, hey, we could further our projects by buying a Super Pastel male to breed to all of our normals. So I did, and at that time I bred it to a normal female from Africa, wild caught. It'd been a long-term captive pet that I picked up from a pet store chain or something like that, and it produced pastels. Sold those pastels to clients all over the world, but just so happened I sold a pair, the only pair that I sold. This is a little aggressive. The only pair that I sold from the project to a friend of mine named Mike Faircloth in Louisiana. Well, Mike bred the pair together at his very first experience breeding snakes. In his very first clutch of eggs ever in life.
Beginner's luck.
Beginner's luck. That man produced animals like this. Actually, this female here was one of them, the original female Super Pastel puzzle. The original female over here. Oh, sorry.
What makes the puzzle the puzzle?
Well, you're looking at the regular. When you were looking at the regular form a minute ago, which is still in my hands over here. This is the normal form. If you look at, consider a normal ball python. I mean, look at the pattern of this animal. The stripe here is just limited to the side. It's got these heavy yellow lines through it. The pattern often resembles, especially in the pastel versions, puzzle pieces. So I thought it was a fit name.
I like it.
The main indicator of the gene is the face. The eye stripe is broken on the animals. So whenever I'm looking at him in the egg, if I'm wondering, is this a puzzle or not, as soon as it sticks its face out, I know exactly what it is. Because if it's a puzzle, it's missing that eye stripe right there.
What's the coolest morph to mix this with, do you think?
Well, the thing is almost everything that's ever been done is sitting here right in front of you. Joe, I'm going to hand you this back. Would you please put that up there, and let me move over here just a little bit. This is the Super Pastel Puzzle girl back here. This is a baby and probably the nicest one that I've ever produced.
She's awesome.
Yeah, this is a little male, and I actually just sold this animal on the way to the show. So it wasn't sold here at the show, but we get about $4,000, $4,500 for something like this.
That's a nice mistake that happened.
This was a very nice project to just show up. So when Mike produced it, I talked him into keeping everything. And unfortunately, because of what we end up having to deal with in our industry, in his hometown, in his county in Louisiana, in his parish, we have parishes, not counties, they passed a law against exotic reptiles.
What?
So he called me one day, heartbroken, practically in tears, and said, I have to sell everything. And you're the only person that could run the project because it originally came from you. And you named it, and you marketed it. So I want you to have it if you can afford to pay me what I want for it and take the animals off my hands.
Wow.
At which point, the very next day, I was at his house to get him. You know?
I don't blame him. Why didn't you just move? That's what I would have done.
Well, I'll tell you what, the guy loved his home. He had a beautiful house. He worked like a mile from his house, and he rode his bicycle to work every day.
Okay.
A labor of love, so he was not going to move. But eventually, he'll have it again.
What would you like to mix this puzzle into? What would be the ideal dream combination for you?
Everything.
Well, what do you think? Just if you had to visualize, obviously you haven't done it yet.
Look here. I mean, that's just a super pastel. Sorry, I'm having difficulty here. This is just a lesser version of a bumblebee puzzle.
Amazing.
We have a lot more to do on this.
I want to see a pied puzzle.
Well, yeah, sure. Next year, banana puzzle.
That would be cool, yeah, too.
Also this, bamboo puzzle, the bamboozle.
Oh, love it.
And it'll be very neat looking. So this is the hat. This is just a bamboo hat.
Yeah.
So it is recessive, and it's got a lot more to do. It's got a lot further to go.
How can people listen to your podcast? Where is it available?
Everywhere. Everywhere you can get a podcast.
What's the website?
Search ball pythons. Man, I'm having such difficulty right on camera. Hang on.
It's more authentic.
Absolutely, man. Look, I got a podcast with Ben Cole where we sit down to breakfast at one of these shows, and you hear the clanging of the dishes.
Love it.
And the server asking us what we want, and it just brings you right into it. Mm-hmm. So if you listen to my podcast, I'm trying to bring you right into it. So go anywhere where podcasts are available, search Ball Pythons, look for ball shit. You guys can look at that banner over there with your camera and see the logo.
The podcast is ball shit. The guy is Sean Bradley, Exotics by Nature. Check it out. We're here in Tinley Park, Illinois.